sounds pretty wild.
What annoys me about, though, when they report about human rights violations, let's say in war, obviously there are more kind of like horrendous ways to treat people.
Big news on Israel. I mean, it's been happening for the past week, but it's like a slow burn and it's pretty atrocious. But like as things come out, it starts to get more and more atrocious, really. But like there's just more to talk about.
I think it gets less and less atrocious because I think
but you
it's
wait
like,
till the last thing I'm going to show you.
I'm like, it just keeps happening and it's so bad and it's so like saturated. They just do so much of it that it kind of waters it down where you're like, unless it's something like, I couldn't even imagine
like
something that would shock.
A nuke
would shock me. But anything else, I'm like, of course they did. You know?
Yeah. Well, it is true. It is true. It is really sad, the kind of, what's the word? The attrition that happens with like humanitarian catastrophes. Because I remember when Israel invaded Gaza, I was for a month because like everything I'd see was just dead babies constantly.
Yeah, it's
just dead babies. You'd wake up to dead babies. You'd go to sleep to dead babies. And all throughout the day would be dead babies. And you actually became like a husk of a person. Like I was just like, how's this happening again? Like, we're useless. The world can't do anything. Everything's what am I even doing with life? Why am I on YouTube? I can't stop this. It was horrible. And then a year later of exactly the same thing continuing every single day.
You forget about
it. No, it's fine.
The succulent Chinese man also died.
We're going to go through that.
We'll get to that later.
Actually, we might need your help with that one. So the succulent Chinese man, I think his name is Jack Carlson. He did an interview with New Zealand Today, a really good interview that we wanted to watch with you guys in honor of his death. And for some reason, I don't know if he got scrubbed or what's happening, but we can't find it anywhere.
Yep.
So if anyone can find the link to
New Zealand Today, their interview with him,
the guy in a tan suit interviewing Jack Carlson, really old guy, kind of looks like he's in a trailer park where the setting is. That's what we're looking for.
Someone said the CIA cleaned it up. Sounds like them.
Yeah.
He did an interview and on the same day. No, I think the interview was like from a couple of years previous. New Zealand Today removed a lot of old videos. That's sad.
Then how did they find it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, why don't you get into this?
Okay.
This shocking news.
There's a bunch of articles here. We just skim this. This is just context. Israel has been. I found it on Instagram, but it's not the full thing. So I found this as well, but there's like a full video that we can watch. Anyway, Israel's very famously, been a lot of allegations, a lot of proof of them committing sexual assault with people they detain, and they detain a lot of people, a lot of people. So it's pretty heinous, like there's no like correct way to detain an innocent civilian.
Yep.
And this is probably like one of the worst ways to do it. So yeah, let's go with this. This was pretty wild.
What annoys me about, though, when they report about human rights violations, let's say in war, obviously there are more kind of like horrendous ways to treat people, but I don't like it when they're like, oh, they detained a man and they just cut off his fingers, and then if a woman is raped, it's like they're both so up and horrible, but then one always gets more attention in that. It's similar to like, let's say someone uses white phosphorus instead. They say, "Oh, that's a war crime." It's like, no, they're all war crimes.
Yeah,
it's just so.
I mean, it's one of those things where like you have this like international laws, and it's like a band-aid solution for a problem. Like I like that people are pushing to prosecute specific crimes.
Yeah,
it's sad that it's not applied to all the crimes, but it's like the best that you can get in like a global capitalist system.
Exactly.
So like, what can you do? Banning white phosphorus is good. The fact that maybe potentially that could also like help to justify other kinds of equally brutal measures that.
Well, because they'll do the cleaner ones, the ones that are like aren't as shocking, but then are just as deadly, and they're like,
What's so? I think like people are completely like they whitewash entirely just airstrikes. Airstrikes are like precision guided as if you're garroting a person. Like it's so insane. And then like an airstrike could potentially destroy a building, and like a piece of the building come down and cut off someone's head. And it's like, is that a beheading? Is that when it's scary, or is it not? Like I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just a product of like America being primarily air power, and they've had better planes, better bombing runs than anyone. in recent history, and it's just like because that's their modus operandi. That's the one that seems the most chill.
Someone's princess,
but it's terrorism.
Said, "At this point, do war crimes even matter? What is a war crime if there are no repercussions?" Yeah, exactly. The only repercussion is you'll get a Daily Mail article written about your war crime, and you're like,
So this one's nuts, right? Israel-Palestine war. Israel shut down NGO for reporting rape of teenagers. So this stuff's happening behind the scenes. It's quite hard to get this information out. Like you'd interview people potentially if Israel decides to release them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they'd muddy the waters and be like, no, this person's lying, blah, blah, blah. And so when they do find like an international organization is actually willing to take up this man to be like, oh, look, this shit's happening. They're just like, you leave the country.
Exactly.
You're fine. Get out of here. He's a US State Department official, Josh Paul, who resigned over sales of arms to Israel in October.
I was asking you. You just read the article.
No, I knew it before, but they just said it more eloquently than I could.
Okay. So what happened?
I mean, this is just an example of a recurring story, but it's just like anyone who kind of speaks out and says, please stop. At least like you cut off their fingers, do what you want. Just don't sexually assault them. They're like, no, get out.
Get out of it.
Yeah.
We'll do what we want.
Yeah. It's nuts.
It was a Palestinian boy as well.
Okay. But what was, I mean, it's they don't discriminate. As they say, Israel is a very progressive country, the most progressive country in the Middle East. They love saying this, and it's true because they sexually assault everyone, and it's they've earned the mantle. Israeli lawmaker defends alleged rape of Hamas prisoners as far-right protesters rage over IDF troops detention. So this is awesome. Like there's like a tiny pushback, being like, oh, like this incident happened. We found out that this man's been sexually assaulted in this facility, and there's reports of it happening like ritualistically constant, and the military has to act, right? They've got certain rules, and they're like, oh look, like we gotta arrest you, we gotta do something. You shouldn't have sexually assaulted that kid. And then all these Israelis show up and protest, be like, free our rapists. It's insane.
So it's like Cronulla riots.
Yeah. They stormed 2 military facilities on Monday, protesting the detention and questioning of 9 Israeli Defense Force reservists suspected of raping and abusing a Palestinian prisoner. So they were just like breaking down the walls, being like, I'm going to let him go.
And what happened? They just let him go?
Let's see. Actually, I don't know. Did they let him go? Oh, he died from the injuries.
Fucking hell.
Christ. Yeah. It's so fun. That's the original article. Yeah. I mean, it's weird because like this has kind of sparked this because the government, I guess, has questioned them, right? Yeah. But there's all these cases where it happens and, it's swept under the rug. And so it's funny, even like the bare minimum of being like, what have you done? What is happening?
This person, FC Edge, says the most insane thing is that the Western media hasn't covered it. Is that true? Can you search
it's less
this
of it.
Exact thing? I would like to see
it.
If there's any.
I think they cover the protest.
Yeah, that's it. It's so despicable. It's hard to like comprehend the cruelty.
Okay. But anyway, the story gets crazier. It gets insane because today on Israeli TV, they brought in one of the who did it to kind of tell his side of the story.
Wait, the rapist?
Yeah. So they bring him on TV.
I thought I misheard you.
Yeah, no. This is it. Once, alongside his unit, raped a Palestinian prisoner, was invited on Israeli Channel 14 to defend the assault on live TV. So it's like, you want to hear both sides of the story, That's journalism. That's journalism.
This is like, when Mr. Beast announced that he was running for, if they lowered the age to run for president, he would do it. And he was like, I would hear from both sides. Yeah. This is what hearing from both sides is
what it
like.
Looks like. Yeah.
Let's hear from the rapist.
Oh, you found the full video of New Zealand today. Let's
sick.
Let's have a look at that. Oh shit. Oh, sick. It's like a Russian streaming channel.
A daily mode.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We got that.
Thank you so much for
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Tiger Collins. You will get a 1 week. No, I won't do that.
Anyone that helps us gets banned.
Okay. So I haven't actually watched this video.
Oh no.
Yeah. Let's see what this man in a balaclava has to say on national TV. Oh. I don't want to see that any footage.
אני חושב שצה"ל שלנו הוא צבא בריא ביותר. המפקדים, הלוחמים.
Just having a man on your program that is in a balaclava, always a bad look. I don't think that's ever a good look. Is there ever a time when that is all
The
right?
last time I remember it is Kanye West on Alex Jones.
Yep. That was a great look, though.
That was horrible as well.
אם יש מישהו במערכות למעלה שרוצה לקלקל לנו, אני פה להגן על שמנו הטוב. שמחתי מאוד שהימין יודע להתעורר בארץ ישראל. אני לא רוצה להיכנס לימין ושמאל, אבל זה בסוף יצא.
Wait, he's talking so fast. That the right knew how to wake up in the land of Israel. I don't want to get into right wing, left wing, but ends up coming out that way. I love the endorsement for the right wing is just a rapist. He's like, I don't want to talk politics, but what I'm saying is that I tend to agree with the right. You know, they seem to align with my values.
That's who endorses you.
It's the one group that got up to defend us.
עם ישראל יודע להתעורר כשצריך.
No, I don't want any of that. Anyway, it's the healthiest army in the world is the response. But what's even crazier is I mean, I don't know if you can get crazier than that, but the hospital later, the Israeli hospital that took him in said essentially that the man had sexually assaulted himself.
He was just jacking off too hard.
With a metal rod in his own bum while in prison. Like unsupervised, I guess. He's like a military captive. They've let him have this metal rod and he did it himself. Case closed. We researched ourselves and it turns out we're innocent. That's just what these Palestinians do.
That's crazy.
It's so nuts. It's just like, I think this is, I don't know, people tend to spin this into some like uniquely Israeli thing. It's not. It's a product of when a country has a blank check from the world hegemonic power, when the biggest country in the world is like, you're part of our colonial project, do whatever you need, we will back you, like, because you're important to us. But you end up building shit like this. Yeah. Like, if you give people a blank check because of your own imperial ambitions, that's just what happens. You end up with a society that justifies these things.
They said there was an injury to the neck, chest, as well as rectal bleeding. There was no sign of injury to the anus itself at the time of his arrival. So they checked his anus when he arrived and compared it to after. It's all just...
No, the time of arrival to the hospital.
Ah.
So he did it to himself and he injured his own neck and chest also because that's just what he does.
He was like, now that I'm in prison, this is the perfect time for a publicity stunt. This is what...
It's just so... I don't even know.
It's someone said, I don't understand how people are capable of this. I think once someone's in a war setting, it's very easily for people to become more and more extreme.
But it's also...
It's like also, a chili tolerance, you know? Like you eat a little bit of chili and then you're like, oh, I'll eat a little bit more.
But it's also like a propaganda thing. Like I think you can so sufficiently dehumanize Palestinians that you can do this to this person and not recognize it as the same as doing it to someone you meet in the streets in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
You know, this is just like... This is a completely different being.
Yeah,
when you're if you're sufficiently propagandized to think that you need to clear these people from the land, that they don't have the rights to live where they live.
Yeah,
it's a slippery slope. Like it's the same. It's the same thing.
And King Karen said it's systemic in Israeli society. So they've been desensitized to this for decades and decades, and don't see Palestinians as people.
And the thing is, like
so easy for them.
If you look at like Abu Ghraib and all these other places, like. They were doing this shit like the US is doing, Australia is doing it. It's just like the desensitization isn't as broad here because we're so far removed from the conflict, you know? So then when you see pictures of Abu Ghraib, people here are like, oh no, that's wrong.
Yeah,
but like,
exactly.
If you're in the midst of it and you're so thoroughly propagandized, like you're going to have people who go and riot and try to break free these prisoners who did it.
Yeah.
These did it.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have any more about